Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yep.
Meeting is now being recorded at 6:32. Thank you. On the roll call, Linda Andros and Susan Schweitzer are present with Chris Shipper. So the meeting has quorum and we will continue. First order of business, approve the minutes of October 8th, regular meeting minutes. We do not have to approve the special meeting minutes because there was not a quorum of people there. It was just myself and others. So any motion or comment, motion to approve October 8th minutes?
Chris, I wasn't at the October 8th meeting, so you have to take my name off.
Oh, okay, that was then that's a typo on that. I will do that.
And then, and I have to recuse myself from approving the minutes.
Okay.
Since I wasn't there.
Got it.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Marty.
Because I can't see you, but I'm in anyway.
Oh, great. We're just going through the formalities, Marty.
Okay, buddy, good.
So Marty is on board. Okay, if Cam comes on, speak up. Susan, can you make a motion on the minutes? You have to unmute yourself, Susan.
I understand that for October 8th.
Yes.
I will make that motion.
Okay. I'll second the motion. Any discussion? Minutes approved. Thank you. We also need to approve the schedule of the 2021 schedule of meetings. It'll be in the similar format, second Thursday of the month at 6:30 p.m. Motion to approve?
I make that motion.
Thank you, Marty. Second?
I second, Linda.
Any discussion? All in favor?
All in favor,
Aye.
yep.
Aye. Okay. Schedule approved. Is our first selectman on?
I do not see him. I will text him.
Okay, because it's the organizational component. He has to, I think, say a few words about it.
Yep. You probably can do something else. Is there another item on the agenda?
That's fine. We can come back to it. We'll go right to Tiger Man, who's in first in order of presentation on the DPW update on the progress on the Bristol Park. Tiger?
All right, thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me. So we'll give you sort of a 6-month synopsis of what we've done over at Bristol in preparation for its 100-year anniversary. We started phase 1 of the work. We actually had that work designed and bid. We had 3 bidders in. Peter Lonnie Incorporated was the low bid at approximately $103,000. We added a $15,000 contingency for a project total of $118,000. That portion of the work included, some removal of stumps and debris. We had removed some trees prior to that under a different contract. Some earthwork grading for improved accessibility, and then the trail restoration, specifically of the Green Link Trail that leads from Mead Park all the way out to Route 106, Old Stanford Road. And then we had some bridge and rail work. It also included a creation of a meadow at the former gravel pit. And in looking at that, we were going to be using, in that area, we're slated to use some spoils from what was to be a phased-in pond dredging portion. What we decided to do is incorporate the pond dredging, or add that as a contract extension for Peter Lonnie Incorporated, to then, dredge the pond, and then you'd put the spoils of the pond over at the meadow, and then create the meadow from there. So that portion of the contract was just under $30,000. We had a $4,500 contingency for 34.5, which brought our total for the project itself up to just under $143,000. Peter was able to finish that, dredge the pond, armor the banks and the tributary of the pond, and finish some additional little tree clearing. He added in some plantings, fixed all the disturbed areas, and it looks very, very nice. I don't know if anyone's been there, but it's starting to kind of take shape and looks excellent compared to what it was. So future phases, what we were looking at, we've got some gates that need to be replaced and reinstalled. We need to repair the fencing. We're right now putting together an RFP bid documents for that work, specifically the work along 106 Old Stanford Road. There's a stretch of the gates that we want to relocate, and then that whole stretch of fencing from one end of the Bristol all the way to the other, over by what is the sewage pump station.
Right.
We'd like to do that, and then there's some additional fencing inside that Chris and I identified that we're allowing in some deer. It's kind of a way in for them as well, so we're going to try to spot check some of that fencing there. We are looking to bring forward the pollinator pathway project, and then since we have additional monies right now, we're looking at the walkway replacement over the wetlands itself. So right now we're putting together an RFP for that. We're going to use something similar to what they used at the Nature Center to try to keep us out of the water, a diamond pier, so to speak, and put that out to bid. Hopefully that'll work in the spring. We are in-house designing about approximately a 4-car pull-off off of Old Stanford Road. This will require state approval, state DOT approval, since it's inside their right of way, but we'll design it. And then I have monies placed in our fiscal year 22 capital budget for DPW administration and engineering to take care of the covering of that cost for construction. Then we are looking at a feasibility plan of extending the Green Link. Now it goes all the way through from Meat Park and down. We're looking at extending that from Bristol around the corner on Old Stanford Road to at least as far as Gower Road, if not further. And from there, crossing Gower onto sidewalks, you can get to South School. From there, you can get over to the high school and then into Waveney Park. So you would kind of connect the entire park system together. So at that point in time, if we were successful in that, you could get from Irwin Park to Waveney Park on a sidewalk or a trail. And using Bristol as the sort of the link in the middle of all of them. So I think that's our goal. I do have to say that at present we have about $4 million in new sidewalk construction proposed. At present, we haven't been able to receive much funding from the town body since they wanted us to focus on maintenance, but we are putting some monies in there for this. I just don't know if it'll go. I did have a meeting this morning with the first selectman as a first go on our budget, and he approved having it in. So hopefully, with a little bit of help from the Conservation Commission, we can maybe spur this portion of the project along. As far as ongoing maintenance, Chris and I will sit with my park superintendent to determine, and maybe the Park and Rec Commission determine exactly what we can help and what we can do and the extent of the maintenance that will be required for the park. And then as far as where we stand on the master plan submission for the budget, basically I rolled forward our 5-year capital plan from what we had and just moved the numbers forward. So for fiscal 22, fiscal 21, we had $199,500 that was given by the town bodies. So for 22, we put in 112,000. For 23 is 100,500. For 24 is 82,500, and for 25 is just a marker at $15,000 at present. The major portion of the work we want to get done, obviously, before the 100-year anniversary of Bristol. The first portion of the work has been well received, and I'm hoping that the Board of Finance and the Town Council will continue to allot the remaining portion of the money for the master plan to be completed. I don't know if there's any questions or.
It's a great summary. I'll open it to the floor for questions. I'll
No
ask
questions, just very impressive that so much has been done.
Thank you. It's starting to take shape very nicely. It looks very, very nice. And, the addition of the bird feeders have been a big hit. I think they're fantastic. And we've actually had some people be able to access the trails who are disabled or in a wheelchair, which is another large bonus that people weren't able to do prior. So that's I'm very happy about that. I'm very proud of that. So
that wheelchair accessibility is a true credit to the quality of the trail that's
Right.
been put in. So, and the managing it. So that's great news. Tiger, I have a quick question. On the 199.5 allocated for this year, are we going to be coming in on or better than budget, or will we be able to accomplish more that we expected this year in that number?
We should be able to accomplish more. Right now, we're ahead of budget, I should say, or under budget, I guess you would call it. So
Mhm.
yes, we're looking quite well. So that's the reason why we're sort of being a little bit accelerated on other portions of the project moving forward, since we have the monies available. So I'm
It
hoping
would-
to see the exact same thing with the fencing replacement.
Right. Right. It would be great to be able to have been successful in our bidding and execution strategy to be able to bring this total number down a little bit, because we were able to complete some projects in addition this year. So that's great news.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I think that would shine well in for future funding requests.
Right. Marty McLaughlin, do you have any questions? He may be on mute.
Oh.
Okay.
I would
Other-
just,
Go ahead, please.
I'm not sure. Now I'm not on mute.
Yeah, we can hear you, Susan.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to say to everyone that because we had a lot of funders who came from other places, they were not everybody local. They have really enjoyed the vision of this park and the participation and seeing the improvements. And it's been very helpful. And I think we can revisit those funding sources.
That's great news, because part of this, and I think Tiger brings it up on the final point 7B, discussion of fundraising available and mention of should be anticipated. I would like to point out that the Friends of Bristol did transfer $35,000 over to the Department of Public Works for Bristol activities, including the pollinator pathway, but a lot of the nice to have things that or softer things that include the pollinator pathway, but some new benches, bird feeders, bird food, and what have you. So we're in, we're doing well publicly and privately on this project.
That's correct. Sorry about that, Chris. I should have mentioned that. That's correct. We
Yep.
put that into a special projects fund solely for Bristol itself. And then the benches are in. My guys are putting together the benches. So, and then we'll bring them out to you and we can place them around the pond. I think that'll be fantastic.
And I'm also pleased to report that the carpenter who built the railings and the bridges is making a birdseed storage unit in the shape of a bluebird house. And he is hoping to be able to deliver it and have it placed next week. So we'll be able to store birdseed on site, and that will make it easier for our volunteers and others to continue to maintain the bird feeders through the winter.
Nice.
With that, Tiger, I want to say thank you to you and Maria and Lanny Associates and also Keith Simpson and William Pollock. It's been a great start to our project together. We still have a ways to go to get to the centennial, but it's very satisfying, this first stage.
It's a great start. No, thank you very much, Chris. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
So,
Okay.
if you don't mind, I got to jump to.
Understood.
Compost
And
enclosure.
we're staying on our schedule.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Can I check and see if the first selectman has joined us?
I apologize, Chris. I sat down to join the meeting and my laptop was doing something I didn't know what it was doing. It took me a few minutes to figure it out. So
No problem. Kevin, this is the organizational component that we need you to, I guess, lead us on. Would you, we've discussed it briefly or exchanged notes on it. How do we proceed at this
sure.
point?
Okay. Well, you've called the meeting to order already. So, but I will conduct an election now. I would take nominations for the office of chairman. Anyone want to nominate someone want to put you off as chairman?
I nominate Chris Shipper to be chairman. This is Linda.
Yes, Linda.
I nominate Chris Shipper as chairman.
The one and only Chris Shipper?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, is there another one there?
All right, we have a nomination. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Do I have any further nominations for chairman? Hearing none. All in favor of electing Chris Shipper to another term as chairman?
Aye.
Aye.
Where are your members here?
Marty,
Is Marty muted?
Marty's muted right now.
I think Marty would vote yes, but I think you have a majority already.
can I vote myself?
Sure, absolutely.
Then it's,
I read the other day where-
Then it's a done deal. If you vote for yourself, it's a done deal.
who's your recording? Who's your recording secretary?
Susan Schweitzer.
Okay, Susan. So you got the vote there. I think Marty voted yes.
He did.
Oh, I have the vote.
Okay. Now I'll take nominations for secretary. Do I have a nomination for secretary?
Yes, I would like to nominate Susan Schweitzer as secretary of the Conservation Commission.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I second.
Any further nominations for secretary? Hearing none. All in favor of electing Susan to another term as secretary?
Aye.
Aye.
Susan, you can vote for yourself.
Oh, of course. Why not?
And I think Marty's a yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so congratulations, and I want to compliment Chris on a terrific job with this commission. Chris has done so much with the land trust and with open space in town, and I really personally appreciate everything he does. He's looking to challenge. What was the name of the fellow who was the Conservation Commission chairman in 1967?
Jack Gunther.
Jack Gunther. He also founded the land trust in 1967, and Chris is really trying to challenge the record that Jack Gunther built. So
He put in a long time.
anyway,
So-
thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for serving on this commission. I appreciate it, and the town appreciates it.
That's great.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kevin.
I'll stay for your meeting.
Okay, good, because we're going to now switch to Aaron Leflin, and this is, I'll just briefly introduce it, but in the notes, you'll see that there's a Connecticut statute that would allow the town legislative body to give permission to refund or abate real estate taxes paid by a land conservation organization. Aaron is going to present a few facts for us to review, and then I will put a motion forward in front of the commissioners after that discussion, which we can discuss and vote on. So Aaron, please step forward and do your piece. And I should mention that I believe that members of the Land Trust Executive Committee, President Tom Cronin and Vice President Catherine Sturgis are also on the call and will be invited to comment and discuss. Aaron, over to you.
The introduction, Chris, and thanks to the Conservation Commission for giving us the opportunity to present this topic today. As Chris mentioned, we're talking about a Connecticut General Statute, specifically it's section 12-81DD, which would give municipalities the option to abate property taxes that are paid by nonprofit land conservation organizations, which is the Land Trust in this case. There we go. So just a quick background of how taxes are assessed in New Canaan, because I know it's not the most straightforward for everybody. Taxes for a given assessment year are assessed on October 1st of that year. Payments are then due in two installments, the first in July and then the next in January of the following year. And what that means in the case of the land trust or anybody who acquires property is that if we received a donation of land on, let's say, May of this year, the land trust would continue to owe taxes in July of this year and then a payment again in January of 2021. So even though we're a nonprofit, our exemption doesn't actually start until after the sort of grand list year is paid off. After that point, we no longer owe taxes. We're removed from the grand list. But for theoretically a year after we were donated land, we're still sort of on the hook for tax payments. So going back to the general statute, this is the entirety of the statute. I haven't shortened it. It's pretty straightforward. I'll just read it quickly and folks can read along too. But any municipality may, upon approval of its legislative body, abate the real or personal property taxes due for any portion of a tax year or the interest on delinquent taxes with respect to any tax paid by a nonprofit land conservation organization that was due for a period before the date of acquisition, but which was paid subsequent to the date of acquisition. And so essentially what that says is the legislative body, in our case, the town council, can abate real estate taxes for a nonprofit land trust as soon as we acquire the property or are gifted the property. And so in New Canaan, the way that this would be applied, there's sort of two different mechanisms. The first is that the legislative body or the town council can authorize reimbursement of real estate taxes that we've already paid to the town. And so we've done a little bit of calculus here and found that we as the land trust have paid the town nearly $64,000 in real estate taxes over the last 5 years. All of that is eligible for reimbursement should the town council choose to enable that portion of the statute. The second sort of overarching thing that the legislative body can do is then abate taxes due after we acquire property sort of in the future. It's worth noting that this will obviously significantly reduce the land trust expenses when we receive a new gift of land. The real estate taxes are probably the single most expensive cost of doing a land transaction, especially when land is donated. We do a fair amount of due diligence, including surveying and title searches, and have some legal expenses, but time and time again, the real estate taxes are the biggest item on our bill when we do these property transactions. So being able to abate those taxes once the land trust becomes the owner of the property would be would really facilitate the land transactions with the land trust and reduce the expenses, reduce the amount of fundraising we need to do. And in many cases, it's something that turns the landowner off, because in some cases we expect them to help with those real estate taxes. One of the questions you might be asking yourself, is this going to result in a loss of overall tax revenue? The answer is not really. There's a Connecticut state report that looked at the impacts of open space on property values. I think the last bullet point there is the most compelling. There's about a 20% increase in property values when properties adjoining passive use parks. So something like a land trust property with trails, and even if we don't have trails on those property, the first bullet point there says that home buyers are generally willing to pay more for property located close to parks and open spaces. So although we might be taking one parcel off the tax rolls, the surrounding properties are increasing in value and theoretically could see an increase in their assessment value. There's also a whole host of cost of community service studies that show that residential development doesn't pay for itself in real estate taxes. So for every dollar that's brought in through residential real estate taxes, towns end up spending about $1.15 to service those properties with things like roads and emergency services and schools and things like that. So keeping open space as open space actually saves the town money. So we'd love to see that continue in New Canaan. And so getting to sort of how the Conservation Commission can support us and support conservation by enabling this statute. The first is the Land Trust is asking the Conservation to recommend to the Town Council, who is the legislative body who can actually enable this, to first reimburse the Land Trust for the real estate taxes that we've paid to the town since 2015. That's that $64,000 figure. And then the second is to establish an ordinance that would essentially allow this to happen automatically going forward, so that we don't need to keep going back to the Town Council every time we do a land transaction. And so, as I mentioned before, real estate taxes are the single largest expense incurred by the Land Trust when we accept a gift of land. And so by kind of getting rid of that hurdle, we'll be able to accelerate the rate at which we can conserve open space. And then at the end of the day, I think it's important to remember that the land trust and the town are sort of working in tandem, hand in hand. Should the land trust dissolve, all of our holdings end up being owned by the town anyhow. So there's sort of that incentive for the town to facilitate this as well. And then lastly, a point not mentioned here is in the case where the town has actually given us funds to acquire property, as was the case with the Silvermine Fowler Preserve. The town was incredibly generous and gave us almost $250,000 to acquire the property. But then because of this, the way the taxes are assessed, we then had to turn around and give the town about $12,000 back in taxes. So things like that just would be eliminated by enabling this statute. It's worth noting that the first selectman, Tucker, the town's assessor, Sebastian, as well as the town attorney, we've all sort of discussed how this works and are comfortable moving forward and making the suggestion to the town council, but are really looking for the Conservation Commission to sort of make a recommendation and show support for enabling this statute. And so again, thank you all for listening. Brief presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave it to the other commissioners to ask any questions or thoughts.
Can I make a comment, Chris?
Please.
First of all, Aaron, that was an excellent presentation.
Thank you.
And, you know, as I mentioned Jack Gunther before, people ought to look at the land trust as the alter ego of the town. You know, when 1967, when the land trust was created by Jack Gunther, and then how many total acres do you have now? I mean, for 50 years, 60 years.
53, yeah.
53
We're
years.
at just under 400 acres, yeah.
You know, the town's been getting, you have 79 parcels, but you've been getting gifts of land. And it used to be that people would give acres away before it became so valuable. So now the land trust has to look at acquiring properties sometimes or with bargain sales. So I support this because I think it really helps the mission of the land trust and ultimately it benefits the town. And I was really quite surprised this statute even existed, and I hope the town council will agree to institutionalize this with an ordinance. So.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Evan.
Ken. Thank you. Susan, Linda, Marty, any questions or comments?
I only have one comment. I'm sorry, Linda, you go.
No, I was just going to say, I fully support enabling the statute. I think it's a no-brainer, really. We shouldn't, as far as I'm concerned.
I
Thank you.
would not disagree. But the other comment that I would only make is that so many of these land trust distributions are made from property wetlands. Property wetlands are not really taxable properties anyway. And so this is a great gift to the town.
Thank you. I'd have to agree with that. I would like to make, in light of that conversation and the first selectman's comments, I would invite any of our 3 town councilors who are attending, if they have any questions of Aaron at this point. Okay, then I'll leave it to you to ping him. Then I would like to put forward a motion. And I'll try to read what I've drafted and we can amend it, but in support of continued preservation and stewardship of open space in New Canaan by the Land Trust, the Conservation Commission approves a motion applicable under statute, Connecticut statute 18-31 DD, and request that the town council legislate accordingly and enact that statute for our town.
Just a quick edit on the motion. I think it's 112-81 DD. Wouldn't want.
You're right.
wouldn't want to enable the wrong
112-81.
And
Susan, I
it's
will send you,
established an ordinance.
right. I will send you the wording on that one. I'd like a motion to approve, or can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, seconded.
I'll second based on your amendments to the actual statutory language.
Got it. Will do. Any further discussion, please?
I would
All
make
in
one more.
Go ahead,
I would
Ken.
make one more comment. You know, when the town is gifted land, as we have over the years, the town doesn't have an obligation to open it up to the public as the land trust does by statute. And the benefit of the land trust too is the stewardship you give to properties, and you know, the town has a number of pieces that are inaccessible. to the public, and we really aren't in the business of being stewards of the property the way the land trust is. So I vote for this as well, even though I'm ex officio actually on every committee. So I'll endorse this as well.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor of the motion to support the statute?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and I think Marty, I'm gonna put you in, but we'll follow up to make sure we got your aye on that. Aaron, and then I thought I'd invite Tom or Catherine if they'd like to say any words on behalf of the land trust. And
Sure,
what is-
sure, Chris. Chris, thank you. Thank you. And thank you to the commission for the support of this effort. We were reminded at our land trust annual meeting back on November 12th by Gerald Torres, professor of environmental justice at Yale School of Environment, of all the benefits of open space and those benefits provided to a community. One of the points he made during that presentation that isn't often spoken about is the community building aspect of acquiring open space. It's inherent in the process of acquiring open space that a community rallies around the efforts of an organization like ours, and then eventually the efforts of the town or a town body like yours. And it's really a wonderful process. And I think that's why the town council will be in favor of this. That's what the town council does best. You know, they're sort of defined by their bylaws, the ordinances, and the approval of appropriations. But what they really do is they support the community and they support and foster community building. So I'm confident they're going to support this effort. And again, I appreciate you supporting it as well.
Very much appreciated, Tom, and it's a great point that these are community building opportunities, and also Kevin's point about the tremendous service that the land trust does in stewarding these properties, and making available almost 200 acres for public visitation at no direct cost to the town. So thank you, and thank you for your leadership on this.
Thank you.
At that point, so that will cover the two main points of the Conservation Commission meeting. I am going to just continue now back onto the basic agenda items. On agenda item 4, I'm so pleased to publicly announce that New Canaan, and again, this is great leadership from the sustainable team, that New Canaan received bronze certification, and I know the award letter has been out, and I know that some of the press has been out, but I think it's a story that we can, it's a note that we can continually beat, and the entire sustainable CT effort is something right in the line of the Conservation Commission, the Land Trust, beautification, Planet New Canaan, Nature Center. This is it is a galvanizing opportunity for all our organizations, public and private and not for profit, to achieve more improvements in the livability and diversity and biodiversity of New Canaan. So if Robin Bates Mason is on, I'd like to thank her for her leadership on this, and also Linda Andros and Susan Schweitzer, who helped participate. So thank you both, or thank you all for that work. I'm going to skip forward from item 4. I'm going to continue to skip down to item F now in the agenda, and it's just simply a reminder of you all of our 2021 budget of $25,000, of which $10,000 was towards Sustainable Connecticut initiatives, $5,000 for river testing, $5,000 for open space mapping, prioritization and work, $1,000 for the park, and $4,000 for general items. We're pretty much on track with all these spending items and projects. Our budget request for next year is going to be reduced by about 4%. And, we'll move forward on that. Any questions on budget, or sorry, I see you, Robin. Anything you'd like to add on sustainable CT?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Just
I'm going to skip again. Overall, at this point, I don't have any further points I need to make. We're very grateful for the open space report that Aaron Leflin and Lynn Avney Brooks and I have discussed how the land trust can help us prioritize and put that up. It's a important point on the open space mapping and prioritization because we want to use that to encourage the Board of Finance, the first selectman, the town council, to continue to put funds into the land acquisition fund. Last year was a pass. The first year it was put in and funded. The second year was a pass. We'd like to get back on the funding trail. And it's important because it gives New Canaan points down the line when it comes to trying to get state money towards substantial open space deals. And one of the things we recently learned was that the Greenwich Land Trust was able to acquire almost 70 acres in Greenwich in conjunction with the town of Greenwich from Aquarian. So if the Pac-Man world of water companies continues and perhaps the first taxing district or the second taxing district gets acquired, it's wholly possible that water company lands will become available. And if we are not prepared with some funding, we will not be able to take up that opportunity. So with that, I will move towards a meeting close.
Whoa, I would just like to say,
Please.
I think that preparation for the future acquisition of water company properties is hugely important. And I think this New Canaan needs to be really, really prepared for that because the Aquarian disposition of properties has been a big issue here. And I think if we're not ready or at least positioned to make a stand financially, it's going to be a huge mistake.
Yep. My sense is if I look back over time, once a decade or once every 2 decades, a substantial piece of water company land comes on the market. The town is not prepared or not of a mind to do it. And then the deal passes by and it falls into the hands of developers or what have you. So again, it's about being prepared. If you know something is going to happen in 20 years, like, my best example is, you have a child who you think is going to go to college. You don't wait till year 20 to put money away. You start now. And so that by year 20, you have some funds that you could use for that event. So it's all about long-term planning. At this point, I'll just put it out to the commissioners on the phone if they have any points or questions or issues they'd like to raise. I'm happy to hear them. Assuming silence is golden, then let me just get the time at 7:09. I will make a motion to close the meeting. And I thank you all for your attendance.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Happy
Great job,
holidays.
everybody.
Happy
Thank
holidays.
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.